So space is obviously a pretty important tool in art. You know, location, perspective, camera movements, it all they're just storytelling tools. Like, not only does our physical environment inspire the kind of art that we create, but we can actually use our environment to create. You can use space to your advantage to tell stories, and yet the world that we live in is still one of the primary sources for our creativity. A lot of art comes from life. So what are some creative ways to interact with the world and space in particular? What are like interesting artistic ways that you can shift your perspective? For me, it's kind of like I want to try to create art using space and like environment a little bit more, because I've been just like homebodying a little bit too hard recently. So I want to get up and move. I'm going to try to do that and do art in a few different spaces and create something. So we'll see. We'll see, because nature is beautiful. And now that it's finally warmer out, things are sprouting, things are blooming. Look at this plant. Hold up. This is my fiddle leaf fig. Her name is Francesca. She's beautiful. She's grown so big and I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud of her. I love her. So then I got out of the house and focused on plein airs, life drawings from different locations to get a new perspective for my art. Our world is fuel for us artists. It's vast and not only captures our own life and existence, but it uniquely shapes each one of us. Space in our physical world becomes art on its own. The feelings and effects we get from certain locations, architecture, and nature is unmatched. For me personally, seeing the Chichen Itza for the first time was like the most magnificent experience or feeling that I've ever had from a physical location. The architecture and the history was just so phenomenal. Or even like big parks, like big forests. When I went to Algonquin Park for the first time, I was amazed by the size of the trees and that perspective, like me being so small and the trees like towering in height, very old trees. That was also an insanely memorable feeling. But as big and as great as those locations are, there's a lot that I find inspiring about the space that I live in and frequent in my regular life. I started off by doing some outdoor plein airs, a few just on my rooftop, because the atmosphere on my rooftop's pretty peaceful, especially when it's nice and sunny out. Like, I love spending a few hours just outside. And that's when I came into contact with the ducks for the first time. I was sitting out there doing some sketches. I found different ways to highlight certain objects, like using interesting shapes like that, or this simple abstract one. These little yellow ovals, they're bees, because there were a lot of bees that day. So with this, I'm kind of trying to focus on nature, and that's what I was trying to explore with these initial sketches, particularly plants. How abstract and how simplified can I go with these? And I guess this is kind of cute, like it's not so bad. It's simple, that's the thing. Like, I feel like I want something that's a little more visually interesting. I guess it could look good in certain kinds of compositions. I don't know if it's necessarily something I want to go for, so I tried to take a different approach for this project. I met up with my friend Mikhael to do some outdoor plein air drawing, just kind of drawing from life, and I had a lot of fun with those. They're very explorative.
You can draw me if you want to. I'm fine with that.
I could try.
Glasses. Are those my glasses?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. How do you pick your
fuck.
stuff? Oh, you smudged it? Ooh.
These shoes that I'm wearing right now, I got blisters on my feet.
Oh, they look cute though.
Thank you. They hurt a lot. Yeah.
Can I do more? Well, that's my tree.
That's your tree.
This is a pretty good tree.
Good tree, yeah.
Good tree.
The sun right now is so pretty.
It's very pretty. Stuff's really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love the contrast. Cookie dude. Everything. Oh, hello, guys. Oh, we're gonna circle around him.
I don't have a cloth for this. It's good enough, I think.
I put him in the circle.
Yay!
He's like, I'm done with this bitch. My art style into question a little bit, because the kind of images that I was leaning towards making were a little different than I expected. So I did some plein airs outside on my own, just kind of trying to go out in places where there's a lot of nature. I went to a few parks, saw a few ducks, a lot of birds. I've been seeing a lot of birds, so I've been kind of hyper fixated on them a little bit recently. They're such majestic creatures, and they all have this like poise to them that they're just like, I don't know. I don't know, I feel like birds have this like sass to them that I can't really explain. So I've been capturing a lot of birds in my drawings. Here's a chill pencil work that I did, and you can see the guy on this little motorbikes, but like they're not, I don't know what to call them, honestly. And as he was passing by, there were these ducks that started swimming up to him. And these ducks are so funny, man. They're swimming up to every single person thinking that they got food for them. Here's a simple abstract one that I did of the ducks. Simple shapes, simple circles. And I actually figured out that I like doing these little weird things to kind of showcase leaves and plants, because it kind of looks a little bit more complicated than just like a single shape. But when these ducks would move around, they would create these little trails behind them. Also, there was this fucking bird there. I have no clue what bird this is. It's some kind of bird, but I fuck with it, so I put it there. But yeah, I used the trails behind the ducks to create interesting directional lines throughout this thing. To this railroad and just kind of sat there, did some drawings. There's a lot of nature in that spot because it's right in the middle of a forest. And it was honestly really nice just getting to slow down and kind of just like sit and be one with nature. And then the railroad is honestly one of my favorite places to be. I love the railroad. The railroad is such a good location. Lots of birds there too. That's when I met the crows. And their bird calls are beautiful, especially on that railroad spot. I heard so many different birds. But yeah, having like that full nature soundscape while I was drawing, or just while I was on my venture, was really cute. At this point, I kind of solidified a style or a preference with the trees and doing these kind of funky outlines, because it does that thing where it becomes like the essence of the tree, but it's not directly an image of the tree. And that's when I really like zoned in on nature. Like when you have the chance to admire its beauty, it's really nice and really grounding for me. Like all the different leaf shapes. I love different leaf shapes. They're like natural pieces of art given to us by the earth. Like there's so many different leaves. There are so many different plants and flowers out there. So many different healing properties, but I'm not even gonna get into that. They're cool. Plants are cool. There's so many interesting leaves, so many different flowers. And looking at each leaf, each petal, each had its own interesting thing about it, like a signature thing about it that made it itself. You know, and that's what I personally admired about it. And I was trying to capture those shapes, like their essence, as best as I could. Also, rock formations in general, like rocks are cool. Those little rocks with the little stones there that were on the railroad too, I fuck with those. I think that's cool. Like pattern wise, it does something really satisfying for me because of the horizon line, like the perspective kind of leading into infinity as it seems. And that's kind of the effect it gives, right? It gives like a really spacious kind of atmosphere. Also, like, yeah, the railroad and the rocks together, like it's almost like the shape of the railroad becomes like an abstract shape on its own with the different lines. And then having the rocks in between, that adds to it. It's like it creates these sectioned off shapes and then the rocks fill in like an interesting pattern in between too. But around that railroad, there was like this little spray painted thing over there. And I drew some of the patterns from the spray paint over here. So this is like the heart that they drew. And these are the same like shapes around it. I'm not trying to plagiarize their work, not trying to plagiarize their thing, but it was right there in my view. And it was really pretty. And it did like add to the atmosphere. So I had to write it down. I had to draw it down. I had to put it, what am I saying? there's a cyclist that crosses the tracks, and and as they're crossing, I'm like, this is perfect to sketch, like perfect little in motion gesture. So I start doing that, and then as I do that, like I see him stop and stare into the sunset, enjoy his time, takes out his phone, and then he starts filming like the train tracks. And then I realize that I'm probably in the video too, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be in the video, but then I'm like, wait, I'm literally drawing him, so I'm technically doing the same thing. That's the thing, like I know like you can't take pictures like without people's consent, or like there's like a thing with that, but like with drawing stuff, does that like, is it like the same kind of social thing with that? Like I don't know. There are a few times where I tried to draw people on the subway or whenever I take public transit. I've done that 2 times, and at some point it kind of like, it got really awkward because people would always like look at what I'm drawing, or people would always be like, what's she doing? Because I just like pop out my sketchbook and just like start drawing people. So I noticed that some people would like purposely look away, and just like that awareness that like, oh, they know I'm drawing them, like, oh, they like, it's like a, sorry, some people were just crossing. God, I'm gonna move to a place where there are less people. It's just my social anxiety. I just don't want people to perceive me or see me. When I post videos online, it's different because that's consensual, you know. If people just see me out in public, like I don't consent to that. I don't consent to being seen. Man. Oh wait, let me give you a perspective of this road though, just so you can see. Damn. Shit. And here's a funny thing, I ended up finding like some construction going on. There's construction and shit. Interesting. Huh. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I'm climbing up there. I'm so climbing up there. And I ended up doing this like abstract piece for it. Or kind of. This is kind of what it was giving for me. I mean, it's like an ugly little construction site, but the sky was really nice, and the nature around it was really nice, which it was ruining, but I did appreciate the lines. So it gave me some interesting lines to work with, and that's why I did this like, it's kind of rough, but interesting abstract sketch. One really creative way I've seen someone use space in their art is this one ASMR channel, actually, Patrick ASMR. Because he makes this kind of ASMR called visual ASMR, and I haven't seen anyone do the kind of stuff he does, because he's really experimenting with a lot of different things, like doing interesting camera movements, and he goes out to a lot of locations and uses different perspective, and he does a really good job at utilizing parts of the world and like everyday life in like an interesting way to create a cool artistic effect.
This should maybe make you feel like you're flying or something. I don't know. Let's take you through this thin passage.
And like ASMR in general, I feel like it's definitely an art because you're creating this like interesting, I don't want to say atmosphere, but more like ambiance. Like there's a lot of space and the illusion of space in that too. Although many channels have taken it like way beyond that. Like Dreamscape's ASMR, I fucking love her. I love her videos. I don't know how she does it, how she edits it, her costumes and her makeup and the effects, everything is insane. You should check her out though, because she seriously makes like really high quality videos. But yeah, Patrick ASMR, he does interesting visual stuff. His is very simple and like raw and authentic. Seeing the way that he artistically kind of does these things and comes up with these cool things using the world around him is just really cool, and I love the way that he does that. It was really inspiring to me because it's like you can really create art out of anything. And especially with cameras and social media and all the digital tools that we can use, we can create some really cool stuff out of our everyday life. So that's why props to Patrick's ASMR. I'm not gonna lie, he was like my main inspiration for this project, because just like seeing the way that he interacts with his world, I wanted to kind of like do the same thing a little bit. Using the world as your playground, like what the fuck is anything? Like what is location? Test the limits of location. Don't be afraid to take up space. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what I gotta get better at. I met up with my friend Rashaad, and we went around the city looking for inspiration, coming across many installations and exhibits. One of them being an exhibition using the sun and its shadow as their tool. So not only are they using space in the world for their art, but they're using the sunlight, which is also like time, to create like the overall effect. But that comes out as a very powerful message, a very powerful art piece. There's this book that I've been reading recently, The Artist's Way, and the author talks about how it's important for each artist to kind of talk about their own personal experiences through their art. As an artist, you're called to do certain things, like you kind of have to create it because it's your life, right? Like you take parts of your life and you kind of reinterpret it into your art. So
yeah, when I'm taking a photo or when I'm looking back at pictures, like capturing a moment that I can look back at and say, I remember the beauty of that day. It was as simple as like, I remember this moment. That's what drove me to be a filmmaker. That's what drove me to even be in the space I'm in now. Now I'm in a space where I'm going to continue to, create from this thought process of like, how can I either capture the reality of scenarios and bring that reality to life? And it's not really realism, it's like surrealism in a sense.
Yeah, kind of exaggerating certain parts of your life or highlighting certain parts of your life.
Yeah, because it's like a slight exaggeration because it's, we're filming it, but making sure there's like essences of reality in what I do. I'm the type of filmmaker where I'll hear a plane flying. Okay, we're going to use that as B-roll now. You know why? Because we were not expecting. There's so many times I'm filming and shit like someone's jet skiing. Someone will like randomly wheelie past the screen and it's like, oh, that's real in time IRL moments you can catch that add value to your project.
Like film is such a powerful storytelling tool. You can do so much with it because it really captures like that raw human experience, our day-to-day activities. And so I wanted to ask you, how does your personal life influence your art, or how do you get inspired by the world around you?
I think for me, I draw inspiration from things that I like or things that I'm interested in. I've always been deeply spiritual. I grew up in a Christian household, and also I grew up around a lot of Rastafarian people. That gives me inspiration at times, different spiritual faiths and how other people interact with the world with their spiritual faith, whether it be Buddhists or people who are Sikhs or name the thing, like some of these beautiful Sikh temples that we have here in Canada. Like that draws inspiration for me at times because of the architecture, and it just reminds you of ancient history. And then also like music. I've always been around music. So like I have a relationship with music on my own, like where it's like music helped me through a lot of stress and trauma, and because at times where I felt like I needed a release, music was that for me, right? So not only was it in the household, but like I connected with people through music. Like there's so many things that I've done in music videos where it's like they'll be talking about something and I'll bring them to a location where this actually happened. This is where this is known to be happening. And then architecture. Surprisingly, architecture and nature inspired the fuck out of me. So for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I'm seeing this much shots in my head. That's the background. This is the foreground with the tree. This is the perfect frame in itself with the 2 trees being cemented.
That's true, yeah, framing the shot.
You stand right.
Life and art, how do they coincide with one another? Like, how is life inherently art, do you think? Do you think just existing is art enough?
In general, you're right. Yes. Anybody who studies art learns that each discipline stems from some form of conflict. Late 1800s, this is post-war at those times. So people have time to what? View the world from a perspective of creation. Like, wow, how do we capture this beauty? The first filmmakers, a lot of them, their thought process was, how do we capture what we see?
There's a photographer right behind us who's like doing photography work right now with some clients. A lot of artists getting inspired by like literally nature, like the world around them. Like if the weather is right, if like the location's right.
They chose this location because of the amazing way that nature interacts with the client here. Like you can put a subject anywhere here and get amazing shots. What do I mean? Look at this. Bow. Another amazing fucking location. How did we have this? It was so perfect.
There you go.
So, this is the new vibe now.
This is what we do.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Actually,
Nature is so beautiful.
Nature's...
Nature doesn't know how artistic it looks. Like that, I bet that squirrel doesn't know how pretty it looks. Like how pretty it is walking around is probably looking for some food.
With
like
the
you know,
sun and the shade. Like,
exactly. He's crossing the road right now.
yeah, that in itself is art to some people, me included.
So much of life is art. I feel like art is very closely tied with life.
Every part of life, whether it's fashion, war, love, envy, jealousy. Name the emotion that art hasn't depicted.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, like it kind of gives another emphasis of what life brings. Sometimes life prepares you for art, and then art prepares you for life as art.
At the end of doing all these plein airs, yes, I enjoyed my time. Yes, I love being outside, but being inside is nice. Being inside doing my thing is just as good, man. Like I love being at home. Like I'm gonna be real. I love being at home. I love just chilling. Being with my plants, man. My plants make me so happy. Taking care of my plants makes me happy. I love being able to just like sit down, relax, and like lay and just like stare at my plants. Like they're there. They're vibing with me. The environment and like a lot of the works that you do is really cool. Like they're very homey and like raw. Because a lot of them they're like you in bed or like, you know, you with your partner. It's
That's what
really
I'm going for. I want it to feel homey and safe.
homey, cozy, and authentic. Like every single time I see one of your paintings, I feel like I'm like, you know, there in the scene, like I'm there in the moment. And it always feels so cozy and warm.
That's very nice. This one's about autism. It's about parallel play. Like you're with someone, but you're both not talking to each other, but you're like doing different activities, but in the same space. We play games together, like in the same space, different games. I'll draw or paint while they're doing something.
And is that like your biggest inspiration for your art, like your partner?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's just
like
very fun. I just love them so much.
And how does your home environment play into that and like your art?
I like the peacefulness of our home that we share. So I like to make the peaceful art. I also make art that is about myself.
Like there's a sense of stillness, but it's also like there's a lot of life in it. It's your life. I can tell that it's your day-to-day experiences. But being at home is nice, you know, and it's your space. Like that's your personal space. Not only can you customize it however you want, like you have free go with that, but you also, it's just your space. Like it's just good vibes. My plants definitely do a lot for that. My plants are like the reason why I love my space so much. But that ties it back to nature. So nature's great, our world is great. Nature being itself, nature being life, and life being inspirational to us, human beings. And then to make like a final kind of fun piece from all of this, I made these 9 little drawings kind of symbolizing each a moment from this experiment, or just kind of summarize all of the plein airs, all the places that I've been to. I took these 9 little drawings done with ink and pencil, assembled them together, and then put it out in nature. I feel like it came together really nicely. Like that's my life, that's my friends, that's the nature that I seen, the plants that I have. In conclusion, this basically taught me perspective a little bit more. I know I went into this with the idea of like trying to talk about space. This has more become like me just being appreciative for the world around me. So my takeaway from this is like, anything can be art. Literally anything and everything is art, if you look at it in one way or another. As artists, I feel like we should incorporate more of our actual experiences into our art. I feel like I really gave myself a sense of freedom over this past little bit doing this experiment. I had a lovely time doing all these plein airs. I feel like they helped me a lot. And I did find some interesting ways to draw nature. So I got that off the list. And I'm definitely not going to shy away from doing more like plein airs and doing more, or like going out in nature and like trying to do more explorative stuff. Like I fuck with that. And I know I basically just made a video being like, I'm done doing like flowy organic shit, and now I'm doing a whole thing about nature. So please forget that. Please forget everything I said. I'm just doing whatever I want, I guess, and don't take any of my words as fact, because I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. Genuinely, that's that for this experiment. I hope you enjoyed. Go out in nature. Go out in nature. So obviously being in nature is really good for your mental health, right? But apparently it's because we can't compare ourselves to anything in nature. Like, you know, when we're around people or like social media, we're seeing people, we're seeing other people's lives, you know, we're kind of always facing some kind of comparison in that sense. But in nature, there's nothing there to judge you. You're just chilling there. And that you can't compare yourself to a tree. I mean, you can I guess you can, but like, that's a thought anyways. Sorry. That's it. Thank you. I love you. Take care.
Not no fucking pro at this. How am I lighting grabber in windy temperatures? How am I doing it? Because I do this. Oh, you see that boat?
It's been proven how like music can program you and also like influence your spiritual energy or your energy in general. So like if that's the case, then like music has a profound effect on people, right? That we may not actually really assess. And even a painting, right? Any art form, even, you know,
like the frequency we hear in music in general, and also just like the kind of art that we see, it really influences our mood, like our day-to-day activities. Like when we incorporate more art, more artistic things in our regular life, like we become happier as human beings. Like we become more inspired, we become more creative. Right? So I find it really interesting how so much of life right now, or modern stuff, is like very monotone, or like really cut, like toned down, kind of. It's kind of like they want us to be more, more ignorant, more unaware, just like less inspired by the world around us. When it's like life in itself is inspiration, is happiness, right? Like we can create so much with our life, but it seems like it's just really easy to get lost in our current world, or kind of to forget that meaning. But
I agree. So many people are caught up in the hustle and bustle and the gotta go to work and gotta pay bills, and a lot of them haven't come to terms with that they haven't actually lived their life the way they actually want to. They just got caught up in a cycle of doing what they felt that they had to. But I'm in a thought process and a realization that like everything is hard. Nothing is easy. So choose your heart. Hey, it's hard to be rich. It's hard to be poor. It's not.
There's no life without hardship. That's one thing. Hold up. We got like a
Look at that. Look at that. The pine trees love me though. Shout out the pine trees.
Shout out to the trees.
Shout out to the tree. Hold on. Let me catch me hugging the tree. Catch me hugging the tree.
Hey. Yeah. Thank you, trees.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Earth. Thank you, Earth, for giving us what we need. If our society had more appreciation for the Earth, then like we'd be, first of all, so much more respectful, so much more understanding, and we'd actually care. Like we'd actually, do more things to help the environment, to help the world. But it's like the ignorance, or the fact that we can overlook these issues, that's like, just like further encouraging ignorance. So like, like if we kind of talked about like love for the Earth and the importance of that, I feel like that would really change things.
I agree.
Where people would be more mindful of the kind of things that they do and what they're really putting out into the world. Because we are a part of nature, honestly, if you think about it too. Like we are nature. Like we could connect. We connect to nature so much because
we need nature
us
to survive at the end of the day. Like if there's no atmosphere, if there's no food, like for instance, there's no fruits and vegetables growing, if there's no animals running through here, we're actually starving. Quite literally. So we depend on nature.
That's true.
So you're right. I agree. And it's a beautiful thing to realize that though. The interconnectedness of that alone, like it's a cycle of life. Like even all day we've been seeing these beautiful little birds just flying around, and just seeing another one. And it's like watching them in their own ecosystem, which we share, and then realizing that they coexist.
Coexist.
It's a beautiful thing to realize.
Good conversations though. Thank you.